Good morning, everyone. Today is a very good day because today we're doing beef ribs. What I'm going to show you here today is just some really nice, simple steps to follow, and you'll get really good results every single time. Now, the reason I really like beef ribs is that it's proper caveman. You get a massive bone, and effectively you get a massive bit of steak on the top of it. It's soft, it's juicy, it's got a great flavour, and generally is a massive crowd pleaser. The first thing we want to do, though, is set up our Kamado, and I'll talk you through everything so you can follow it nice and easy. Pause it whenever you need to, and just make sure you know what you're doing. Now you can see there's a tiny bit of charcoal left in there from last time. Whenever I clean this out, there's anything that's left that's unburnt, I'll just leave it in there and we'll just use that in the next cook. That's one really nice feature I like about this, is that basically once you shut it down, the charcoal that's left in it stops burning very quickly, and then you just save it and you use it in the next cook. So we're using oak today, so I've got a couple of lumps of oak. Now I'm going to put one in the middle. I'll put a big one in the middle, and then I'll put the second one there. The idea being we're going to light it in the center. That will burn first, and then this will burn second, and it'll just spread across, and then we get more smoke throughout the entirety of our cook. Because it's going to be 6-hour cook, then we'll put 2 in, and that should be enough for the entirety of the cook. So I'm using Caveman Original. It is superb quality. The size of the lump is just nuts and massive, and it's such good quality. There's no odors, there's no impurities that come out on your food. It's just really nice, clean burning, really high quality. If you haven't got a blowtorch, then you can just use firelighter, stick a couple in the bottom, let them burn for a little bit, and then add charcoal around it. But if you can't, blowtorch, I'll link this one I got from Amazon. It's at 30 quid, not very much money at all. And the gas bottles you can pick up from Amazon as well, and this just gets ignited literally in a couple of minutes. Really good. So let's light this now. So you can see it's nicely lit. Got some red embers down the bottom, and then you've got some ash around the center part. I only want to focus on the center part, and there's plenty of heat coming off there, so it's nicely lit. I'm going to leave the lid open for about 5-10 minutes. Wait until this really catches nicely. Got some flames coming off as well, and then we'll shut this down, and I'll show you what to do next. So we can see here the coals are nicely lit. We've got a nice little bit of flame here. So now it's time to shut the lid down. Right. So we've got our top bin wide open, the bottom bin wide open, and our flour is just nice and lit. So what we need to allow the Kamado to do is to soak up all that heat, because it's that radiant heat that's going to really cook our food. So we need to leave this for at least 30 minutes. A mistake that a lot of people do is they don't allow enough time for this. They look at their temperature gauge, think, oh, it's up to temp, put all their inserts in, put all their food in, and then wonder why they're chasing that temperature for the rest of the day. They get spikes up and down, left, right, and center. Give this bit enough time. You're doing a long cook, so you need to make sure this is well established, because it will then just make your life so much easier. So I'm going to leave this about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I want to feel this lid get nice and warm. At that point, we will put all the inserts and everything back in the flex plates and everything back in. The temperature will drop a little bit, and then basically we will allow it to come back up to temp. Now, our initial cook is at 121 or 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm trying not to rub it. It's really it's really fact, no. What you need to do is when you get to around the 110 mark, something like that, once you've got your inserts and everything back in, it's just then allow it to start to creep up. We'll start dialing our vents in, and then get that temperature nice and steady. Then we'll add our food, and it should be happy day. Right, I'll bring you back when this is ready. So these are beef short ribs. Now, I've got these from John Davison's. I'll put a link to his website down below. It's where I get all my stuff from. Now, these aren't the biggest. So these are just 1.9 kilos, but they're really good quality. The marbling is superb. Now, the reason I would encourage you, particularly if you're doing beef, like if you're doing pork ribs, I wouldn't bother. That would encourage you not to do it. But if it's beef, particularly beef short ribs or a brisket, I would encourage you to dry brine the night before. Now, what dry brining is basically seasoning. And effectively, or the bit that we're focused on is the salt part of that. Now, if you're adding salt to the meat the night before, and then you put it in the fridge, it allows that salt time to penetrate deep in the meat. If you season and then put it straight on the Kamado, yeah, you still get that salt flavour around the outside. It'd be quite strong then. But for the rest of the meat, it just won't be that obvious. There's something will be lacking. But by dry brining it, you allow that salt to penetrate deep in the meat, and that's going to add so much flavour. Okay, so the temperature here is showing me at 500. But when I fill the actual lid, it's just nice and warm. It's not. If it was 500, I would not be able to touch it. It'd be too hot. But I can guarantee when I open this up, there's going to be a fire. There you go. And that is what's affecting the temperature probe. But what we need to do now is put the inserts in, and then we need to close the vents down so we can get to a stable temperature. I'm going to close the top vent right down, so to about finger width, and then the same on the bottom. And we'll let this settle back in. It will still be hot. It needs to all calm down, and then we'll dial it in around the temperature that we need. Okay, so the temperature's nice and settled, but I'm going to show you one more little thing I like to do. So, I'm going to move these over with the really handy little tool that they give you. I like this tool. Then I'm going to get my drip tray. The next thing I'm going to do is add some water. Now, this will slow your cook down for a little bit, but what it will also do is act as an extra baffle, but also when it creates this steam, this heats up, it creates steam, then actually it helps that smoke stick to the meat as well. It creates more of a moist cook chamber environment, because obviously being so efficient, it's very, very dry. But just adding a bit of water in there will just help kind of get moisture into the entire cook atmosphere. Okay. So I've got my beef ribs squarely in the middle. We're going to leave that out. We're not going to check on it for another 2 hours. Just going to let it do its thing. Keep an eye on temp, make sure it's nice and consistent. But really, there's nothing left to do than to let this sit on there and just suck up all that smoke and heat. And we'll look back in a couple of hours. So as promised, I'll brought you back at the 2 hour stage. It's actually 2.5 hours. Got a bit distracted the way it is. So at 2.5 hours now. But the pit has just been rocking exactly where you want it. It's not moved. Once you got it dialed in, it just loves to just sit at that constant temperature, which is fantastic. Let's open this up. Let's have a look, see how it's doing, and then I'll talk you through what to do next. Oh, look at that. Popping and fizzing a bit, and basically that's the hot fat dripping into the actual water, which is fine. We still got a little bit of water left in that, so I'm not going to top that up at all. That's fine. It's done its job. So if you look at that, you've got some beautiful bark along there, really starting to form nicely. You've got some foam pulled back here and over here. So that's starting to look absolutely fantastic. So in terms of temperature, we look at that, it's hitting around the 170. So it's a little bit ahead of where we was expecting it, but that's absolutely fine. So what we can do now is adapt our plan. So I'm going to let it go for about another 20 minutes, half hour, something like that. Then I'm going to wrap it, and then we're going to let it go and carry on. But what I'll do is just bump the temperature to the 275 and just leave it there. So rather than going all the way up to 300, because this is cooking quite nice and quickly, quite a small rack of ribs, so that's fine. What we're going to do now is just adjust our plan a little bit. So we're going to put it up to 275 and then hold it there for the rest of the cook at that temp. But this is looking fantastic. Bark looks amazing. It's beautifully inset. You can see that fat. Oh, look at that. You can see that fat starting to render. Let me get my probe. Look, you can see there. Starting to get some beautiful rendering there. This is exactly what you want. Oh, look at that. It's going to be amazing. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay. Before I get too carried away, let's close this down, let it go for about another half hour. These are looking fantastic. Now, I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that's Original Caveman Kamado, and they've sent me this awesome Barbarian, which is the largest in their range. Now, you guys will know I'm pretty picky when it comes to my barbecue gear. There is a lot of stuff out there that looks really good online, but when you just doesn't deliver. When you start cooking it, you realize it's just not that good. But honestly, this thing has seriously impressed me. Now, I've been cooking on it a while, and the first thing I notice is just how solid it is and how well built it feels. Everything from the ceramic to the fitting feels really premium. It's really heavy duty and designed properly for real outdoor cooking in mind. Another thing that I really love about it is just how versatile it is. You can run it low and slow if you're cooking briskets, ribs, pork butts, whatever, or you can absolutely hammer it if you're doing burgers, steaks, or you get a pizza sewn for it or a rotisserie. It's even more versatile. Now, once you've got the temperature dialed in, it's incredibly stable, really easy to control, and it makes cooking a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. Now, the cooking space on it is, again, really impressive. So you've got 26 inches of cook space. So there's loads of room to cook on it for family, friends, or if you're like me, I just cook far too much food for absolutely no reason. Now, another thing I genuinely appreciate about original Caveman, and that is that they seem to really focus on value and the customer. You are getting a serious, capable Kamado here without needing to spend an absolute crazy amount of money. And when it comes to spare parts, again, they're reasonably priced, and that's really important when it comes to long-term ownership. So if you're thinking about getting a Kamado or upgrading your current setup, I would definitely recommend checking them out. I'll leave all the links down below in the description. I really want to say a massive thanks to Original Caveman for sponsoring today's video and sending over this awesome bit of kit. Okay, so it's been about another 30 minutes and it's got to the point where the bark set beautifully. Is now hitting 180 everywhere that I'm probing, so that's perfect time for wrapping. But before I get that out, there's a couple of things that I need to do first. So I've got a couple of sheets of unwaxed butcher's paper. I've got some tallow that I've rendered for my previous cooks. Whenever I do this, I always keep it just to keep it, for this sort of cook. And buttons unpopped. If anyone knows where I can get a decent apron from, that doesn't pop off every 2 minutes, please let me know down in the comments, because this one's starting to drive me mad. I think I'm going to have to change it. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. So this is tallow that I render in my previous cook. So if I'm trimming the brisket or whatever and there's a lot of fat, I'll also put this on, render it down, put it in a jar, and then at times like this one, I'll add some fat back. It's perfect for it. Now, the reason I want to add some tallow back into this is because that lost a lot of moisture, a lot of fat's been rendered out of it, and just by adding a bit back in, it just helps that overall flavour, the juiciness, and the texture when you're actually eating it. So you will see me talk about this in my previous videos, in that I want to be very, very quick when I'm taking the beef, the ribs out of the Kamado, wrapping it and get it back in there, because as long as they're out, then the dropping in temperature, you've got to recover that temperature before they then carry on cooking. So I like to get everything absolutely ready, get it all prepped, bish bash bosh, on it goes. So the first thing I'm going to do is spray the paper. So this is just water in here, it's nothing else. And the reason that I want to spray the paper down, it makes it a lot easier to manage. Makes it sort of making it a bit more manageable, a bit more flexible, and you won't bite it so much. And it really is kind of like a nice and worthwhile thing to do. So put my paper roughly where I want it. It's about there. Beef ribs are going to go in the middle there. Now, when it comes to my tallow, I'm going to put it meat side down. Okay, so I'll put some gloves on and also got some cotton gloves underneath. This is now ready to accept our beef ribs, so I'll go and quickly grab those now. Okay, so I'm going to lay those like that. Now, we've got to be mindful of the meat pro because we don't really want it to puncture. But really, it's nice and simple. Just fold that over, back over to itself, and then that little bit here will just fold back in on itself, just to keep tight. And then, being careful of that probe, just going to squidge it so you've got a nice tight parcel. And what's that been, like 30 seconds? Right, let's put this straight back on. And then we'll place that slap bang in the middle again. And then we'll shut this down and just let it rock. So I reckon we've got about another hour and a half. I'll keep an eye on the temperature. When they're ready, I'll bring you back and show you what to look for to test for that doneness. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes since we last looked at this, but I've been probing it, keeping an eye on the temp, and it's now ready, done. I'm going to quickly show you what I look for, but we're going to take this off, let it rest down to about 65 degrees centigrade, about 150 Fahrenheit, and then we can cut into it and just see what we did. But look at that, it smells amazing. I have to say, I love beef ribs. So you can see I've been using the same sort of holes. So this one's telling me it's 206 there, and this on the thinner end is showing me it's 210. So it shows there's quite a variation in terms of like the temperature. So obviously a thicker part and then the thinner part, you'd expect the thinner part to cook quicker. But also when I'm putting my probe in, and it doesn't matter where I put it, I've been testing in 3 different places, but it doesn't matter where I put it. It's literally very, very soft. Now, like with ribs, you can pick it up. You can give it a squeeze. You can see they're bending. So they're all signs that basically it's cooked, it's finished. But most importantly, we need to take this off. We've got my chopping board waiting. Straight onto there. Shut this down. Now remember, close your vents. Save that bit of charcoal that's not burnt. Save that for another time. So let's put this on the counter and we'll let that rest. Now, I don't normally show this, but actually it's quite a little good tip that, not everyone will know or necessarily do. But you can obviously see the bits where I've been testing the temperature and you can see a little bit of steam coming out of there. So what I always do is get the glove that I've just used and I stick that across. And effectively, it stops that steam coming out of those little holes and just keeps a little bit of egg moisture in the actual cook. Doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Just another little tip give you just to get the best beef short ribs that you possibly can do. Right, let's leave that to cool down and I'll bring you back in a little bit. Okay, I've let this rest for about 40 minutes and it literally is as much as I can bear. It's about 160, so more or less in the range that we want. In fact, it's probably come down a little bit longer since I've been faffing around. But let's open these up, and this is my favourite bit, and one of the reasons why I like butcher's paper so much. Not only does it really benefit, but it's amazing when you unwrap it. Yes, look at those. Beautiful. Now look at that. You get both sides shot. They look amazing. I mean, look at this bark. Look at that. Oh, you can tell that fat's rendered. Oh, that is amazing. That is what you want to see at the end. That is gonna, salivating already. Right. The slice is open and actually have a taste. That's what all this hard work's for. Right. Gotta go for a centre bone always. Wow. Then that's just butter. There's no other way to describe that. Look at that. Oh yeah. Gonna hold it up to this camera over here. Look at that. So you got that beautiful smoke ring. Look, all that fat has been rendered beautiful. Let's see if it's worth all that hard work. I absolutely love that. This is why, excuse me, I'm going to carry on. I'll stop eating and then I'll talk. This is one of the reasons why this is one of my favourite cuts in barbecue. You've got a beautiful beefy flavour. You've got all the saltiness, that dry brine. It's let it penetrate. It's so tender, so juicy. It's amazing. And when you pick up a good old bone and take a massive bite out of it, loved it. And you got that beautiful mouthfeel afterwards. Oh, I'm happy with that. That is amazing. So there you go. That's how you do a beef rib on a Kamado. And today, obviously, we've done it on the Caveman Kamado, which I have to say I'm absolutely loving. Now, I'm going to do a full series on the Caveman Kamado. Please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to put it on your notifications so you don't miss any of those videos. I'll also put it in a playlist so that you can find them nice and easily. And all the details of Caveman Kamado will be down in the description. Go and check these guys out. They are truly amazing. They're producing an absolutely amazing product at an incredible price. But until the next video, take care of yourselves and I'll see you all soon.